Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. We are quickly approaching the Settlers of Kalguur Path of Exile expansion, and once again, I'm here to pick a build for each Ascendancy class that I might start in the upcoming league. Now, I've done this in the previous 3 leagues, and I allow you all to vote in the comments down below on which build you would like to see me play. Then we will add all of those votes to a giant wheel like the one that we had from last league, and I will spin it right before the league starts to pick which build I will play. And here's a more readable version of that with weightings based on the votes we had last time. We spun this wheel and I ended up league starting as a self-cast Exsanguinate Scion, and I was able to push this build to red maps, as I promised to do for each build I'm going to share with you today. I am not a POB tinkerer, really. I kind of look at the Ascendancy class, kind of pick a skill gem for what I'm feeling for that class that I might be interested in playing around with. And here is the list of builds. I'm going to go through POB and talk about each Ascendancy class, but this is pretty much all of the planning I have done for Settlers of Kalguur, similar to the last several leagues. This is not a list of you should start these builds, but rather what I am looking to tinker around with in the upcoming league. Some of these builds might be really strong, some of these builds might flop super hard. Some of these builds are nothing more than memes, and I tried to include a lot of different melee things in here as there are big changes to melee things in this patch. And before I get into it, I will explain how you vote for a class. All you have to do is comment below. This person voted Ascendant. We had Glacial Cascade Totems Hierophant last time. Righteous Fire Chieftain, Glacial Cascade, Ascendant, Poison Spectral Throw Assassin. These are builds we had for last league. All you have to do is pick one, and that is how you vote for the build you would like to most see me play in the upcoming league. And this time we're going to start with Slayer, work around to Warden last. So for Slayer, I've been recommended to try Perforate. I've never played a Perforate build. I've not played a Slayer build in a long time. So for Perforate, what I'm thinking here is maybe something with impact. Maybe I go for Endless Hunger, but that's maybe a little excessive. So maybe something like Brutal Fervor for the Leech, impact for the AoE, and then get the Bane of Legends and Headsman for the Calling Strike there. Probably something like this is what I would be looking at, trying to play a Perforate Slayer. I'm not too familiar with what Perforate does, but as with all melee things this league, it's getting buffed, so there should be a lot to play around with, and I know the Sandstance version of Perforate also has a pretty nice clear to it. So, if you would like to see me play a Perforate Slayer, all you have to do is comment Slayer down below. Next up is Champion. Champion has changed a bit. The Fortify is only 15, but you only have to path 1 node to get it. There's a kind of party Fortify thing you can get in here. There's the Impale things. But what I'm thinking about is Static Strike. Static Strike is a skill I have not played since the skill was changed from being an AoE pulse thing. So what I would like to do is probably go for Worthy Foe and get the Cannot Evade attacks, probably go for First to Strike, Last to Fall, and then mess with the banner things, because I can get Fortify without using this Ascendancy node and play with the new banner stuff here while seeing what I can make happen with Static Strike. I was originally thinking doing something dual wield, but I'm not going to commit to that. Maybe a shield would be better because this new passive tree has insane block stuff all over it. So there's definitely lots of options there. And I think it would be fun to try something completely new and out of the box with the Champion. Now, the Gladiator has been completely reworked with aggravated bleeding in here now. War of Attrition, some retaliation things. And a lot of people are excited about bleed stuff. I'm going to go in a different way. I want to focus on retaliation skills, using measured retaliation, get the buff on bosses, and then super stack block like so. And focus mainly on the new retaliation skills, stacking as many of them as I can, using them as often as I can with this measured retaliation, and try and just be a big tanky block boy that you hit me, I hit you back kind of thing, and see if I can make that work. There's a lot of others playing bleed builds with gladiators, so if you're looking for something more that route, might be interested in seeing what other people are doing there. I'm going to stray away from bleed, as I kind of do hipster things around here in PoE. Next up, we have the Ascendant. Ascendant won last time as I played the self-cast Exsanguinate, so we needed a new build here, and I've been requested to try out Charged Dash. So if you vote for Ascendant, I am going to play a Charge Dash using Pathfinder for movement speed and attack speed, as well as an Inquisitor for a bunch of Ellie Pin, Consecrated Ground, and nearby enemies take increased elemental damage. Having lots of attack speed and movement speed is good with Charge Dash. I've never used this skill, so I think it'd be fun to mess around with and see if I can make something good come out of it. And as with all of these builds, I will take this to red maps. If you vote for it and Ascendant gets picked, I will go all the way to red maps with Charge Dash. Up next is Juggernaut. Juggernaut received a bit of a change with Unbreakable. Now you get a percentage of your armor, also applies to chaos damage taken from hits rather than elemental damage. So I want to dive into this chaos damage taken from hits idea, and the idea is to build around the Divine Flesh Keystone that comes off of a Legion Jewel, causing 50% of elemental damage taken as chaos damage and giving extra max chaos resistance. I generally try not to plan things outside of just the Ascendancy and the skill gem, but I'm definitely going to try and work around Divine Flesh for this build. And as for the skill, I'm going to use Sweep and probably go big endurance charge stacking, super tanky, massive AoE, something looking like this, I think. I'm going to try and make this build kind of immortal, if possible, with the new armor base types and Divine Flesh. And then we'll use Sweep because why not? Everything got buffed. Everything should be good. Next up is Berserker. Now, Rage completely changed this league, and now being a Berserker causes Rage to grant you attack speed. Rite of Ruin is different. Warbringer's different, exerting twice as many attacks. And what I have in my brain here is I want to use the new Overexertion support gem, which gives more damage based on the number of Warcries exerting your attacks, playing around with Warbringer using Earth Shatter. So Warcries have some kind of play with Earth Shatter to cause these fissures to explode, and then we'll probably play around with the new Rage stuff, maybe even go crit with Blitz. Or I could try out the Rite of Ruin, go super damage with it, with Aspect of Carnage. There's a few options here, but the idea is I really want to mess with the Overexertion and stack as many Warcries as possible, and I think using an AoE slam skill like Earth Shatter would do that nicely. I'm not the biggest fan of Aspect of Carnage, but I don't think you really want to go for Flawless Savagery unless you're getting Blitz, so maybe I even go Defy Pain. I've not seen anybody really do much with that either, so that one's kind of a little bit more flexible, but Earth Shatter is definitely where I'm going. Warcries exerting twice as many attacks should be fun. Chieftain got some new nodes here with Sion's Sun's Roar, increased Warcry buff effect, and Warcries have infinite power. So that's definitely something I am intrigued to play around with. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm probably going to go for Tukuhama War's Herald for skills from equipped body armor are supported by a level 20 Fist of War, as I play a cold to fire conversion Ice Crash. And then I'd probably go super tanky with this with Valico for the max res, but now there's also more all res on the tree with nomadic teachings as well as prismatic skin still existing. So it might not be as valuable anymore to get Valicos, so maybe we could drop that and get Heinekora, Death's Fury, and explode some enemies, doing crazy fire damage there. But the big thing is the Cold to Fire Ice Crash with the extra Fist of War for bigger AoE, big slams, and try and make it fire even still, by using the Cold to Fire support gem and grabbing Avatar Fire to get 100% cold converted to fire. Haven't played a Chieftain since we got Valico, so I think this one would certainly be a lot of fun. On to the Templars. For Inquisitor, I would also like to play Ice Crash. Looking something like this, I think. Go big crit Ice Crash with some Frozen Legion action, probably with a staff where we go big crits there and try and go block. I don't think I would commit to a staff on the Chieftain, but this is going to be a cold damage build, whereas the Chieftain would be fire. But Ice Crash is something that I've always liked, and since it's getting buffed, I would like to see if I can actually make that skill do damage, as it has always been a struggle to get Ice Crash to do well in the past. So I am hoping we can have a strong Ice Crash build come out of this league. So that's what I've chosen for Inquisitor. For Hierophant, I did not mess around with the new Archmage last league. So I have picked an Archmage build for my Hierophant. And I think the skill I want to use is Bladefall. Grab Conviction of Power, probably gain Arcane Blessing. And then, yeah, play Archmage Bladefall, see what I can do with it, see how far it can go, see if it's good. I don't know that I've seen anybody do this in many years at this point, so I like to see if the new Archmage can work with the Bladefall. And I wanted to switch the Hierophant up from last time because we did a Glacial Cascade Totem build with a Hierophant last league. For a Guardian, someone recommended this last league to try Animate Weapon. Now, we can get Unwavering Crusade for the Elemental Relics and get the Sentinel of Radiance, super solid stuff from Guardian. Now, you might not need the Bastion of Hope because getting block is easier now, so I really like this node. It's very strong, but maybe that wouldn't be needed. But as someone who mainly plays solo, Radiant Faith and Unwavering Faith, these are more kind of party play things, as well as Harmony of Purpose, linking targets. So most times a Guardian build for a solo player is going to look like this, unless you're trying to give your minions a bunch of armor. So I think this is what it probably ends up looking like. And Animate Weapon is something I know nothing about, and I think it'd be fun to experiment with, and sure, we'll make it happen. It'd be a completely new avenue in the game for me, and I've kind of dipped my toes into a lot of other minion builds recently, so maybe we can make something really cool with that. I don't see much Animate Weapon happening, so of course that would be fun as well. Up next we have Occultist, and this league, Chaos Dots got buffed, so I would like to play a Bane Essence Drain Occultist, get Profane Bloom, explode enemies, get an additional curse, and yeah, we'll have Bane, we'll have Essence Drain for additional single target damage, but give myself a bunch of chaos damage, Wither nearby enemies, explode them if they're cursed. Bane is super strong. I know this will be a strong league starter no matter what. If you're looking for me to just progress as quickly as possible and really start to mess with new things like the league mechanic, I'm not going to have to tinker with this and learn as much about this build, and it's going to be strong and a lot of fun to play. Now, this is outside the realm of the new melee stuff, but I would recommend against playing anything super cold spell damage based this league that is not based in physical damage like a Glacial Cascade, because Hatred changed. It is only granting physical as extra cold now. You're not going to be able to get the more cold damage on it for cold dot builds, and I even think Vortex has been nerfed as well this league. So that's why I'm definitely going the chaos route if we go with Occultist. Next up is Elementalist. This is the same as I picked for last league, and probably would be my league starter if I were to choose myself, because I have wanted to play around with Fire Trap again for quite a while. This is a build I have played before as well. You get a massive AoE Fire Trap with Heart of Destruction, and then you get a big boost to Ignite with Shaper of Flames. Really defensive with Bastion of Elements. And something like this in a league where lots of people are playing melee, it's going to be really easy, I think, to get a decent weapon to scale Ignite spell damage, or even just get a Searing Touch, and that can take you to T16 maps with a Fire Trap build. I think that would be super solid. Massive fan of this build, and I even have a build guide for that when I created it a couple years ago as well. Necromancer. I played Necromancer the last 2 leagues. I played a body swap Ignite thing in Affliction, and then last league I made a Turtle Spectre build as well that was kind of bad but really amusing. So I'm going to leave this the same as I think it was last league and go for this. Minions have Unholy Might, and use summon skeletons of archers to poison, probably stacked with zombies to tank in the front, and then skeleton archers in the back, trying to stack a bunch of poisons on enemies. Probably grab Mistress of Sacrifice and Commander of Darkness there, or maybe get Bone Barrier instead. Or if I don't need the block, I could switch this over here like that. But I'm curious to see how the Skelly Archers would do with the Unholy Might, and having lots of minions, you'll be able to stack the Withers really high really easily, and maybe I throw a Bane in on this as well for some extra damage and curses there. I'm sure I could make the Skelly Archers work and get to red maps with this. It'd be something new, but I'm not too interested myself in playing another Necromancer this league, but that is what I would do if you want to see me play a Necromancer. Next up, we have an Assassin. For Assassin, I want to play Frostblades. Get big, elusive, and probably ambush and assassinate there. I wanted to do something melee based because all the stuff is getting buffed. Getting a big fizz weapon with Hatred, you can then try and do a lot of fizz converted to cold, and then Frostblades with this, and I'd probably try and dual wield daggers or something, or even claws. Try and make effect of a lot of elusive and some Nightblade things, and the daggers are getting base crit increase as well. There's dual wield block buffs all over the place, so that's probably where I'm gonna go with an Assassin. Stack a bunch of power charges, do a lot of crit, and be super elusive on top of having a lot of evasion rating. And Frostblades is a lot of fun, so that should be a good time. For Trickster, I want to do a big defensive guy here with Spellbreaker And Escape Artist, we're getting new base types, so you can get more evasion and energy shield out of Escape Artist. But then I want to play Soul Rend with Essence Drain, probably Polymath, and one step ahead here. Something looking like this. Really defensive, ES focused build, and Chaos Dots got buffed, so why not play a Chaos Dot? I've wanted to play a Soul Rend Trickster for a long time as well, so I think that would be really fun to do, especially with the amount of energy shield we're going to be able to get this league. Saboteur is another Ascendancy class that I've been playing a lot of more recently. I've done a lot of trigger bot stuff in the past few leagues, like Clockwork's a lot of fun for cooldown traps. So I'm going to switch it up this time. I will pick a miner using a Glacial Cascade, grab Pyromaniac for the insane regen, and Glacial Cascade scales with Fizz damage, so Hatred would still work. We grab Born in the Shadows, and then maybe Explosives Expert there, or like Clockwork if needed for any cooldown stuff, but I don't know if I would need that. And I haven't played a mine build in several years, so it'd be interesting to play around with that. If you'd like to see me play a Saboteur, that is where we're going to go with it. Glacial Cascade Mines. Lastly are the Rangers. First up, we've got the Deadeye. I still have never played Lightning Strike, but I think that is what I would like to do with a Deadeye, and it's also a melee thing that's getting buffed, and I think Far Shot would work nice with that. And then you get the additional projectiles, get Gathering Winds, you can get Frenzy Charges here now as well. And if I didn't need that, I could get Focal Point for extra marks, but they also buffed Wind Ward, but that makes you lose all your Gale Force if you get hit. So there's a few things to play around with there, but I think the additional projectiles is something you definitely need for Lightning Strike, and maybe Far Shot would be good, as the Lightning Strikes will go out a ways, and Super Speed with Gathering Winds. I really like the avidity here for the accuracy and Frenzy Charge generation. I think that would be pretty solid. That's what I'm thinking for Deadeye. Up next is Pathfinder. I did not get to mess with Poisonous Concoction of Balancing last league. Poisonous Concoction is getting buffed this league, and I think this is what I would go with here and play Poisonous Concoction build. If the less life recovery from flasks doesn't work with that, then this could be changed for maybe Nature's Boon, maybe even swap this up here to Master Alchemist, but the big chaos stuff is right here. But I think you need life flask recovery for Poisonous Concoction, so I don't think Master Surgeon actually works well there, so probably Nature's Boon. And you get the Wither on hit, play some Poisonous Concoction. Damage numbers went up, so it was already pretty solid of a build, so I think Poisonous Concoction would be a really solid league starter that kind of strays away from the melee stuff as well, and that makes things a bit easier to gear as well through trade, if that's what you're doing. And lastly, my favorite, the rate weights. Raiders gone. We have Warden. Well, for Warden, what I would like to do is play a bow build. I want to play Storm Rain, where I can apply up to 50 shocks to an enemy and use the Storm Rain to stack a bunch of shocks. Avatar of the Wilds is interesting. I'm definitely interested in the bark skin, and I might go for messing with the tincture things though. Tincture's applying to ranged weapons, and then I can get an additional tincture if I need that. I can go for Lessons of the Seasons for some fun spell suppression things, or reduce the mana burn if that is needed for tinctures. I don't think I'm diehard set on go Avatar of the Wilds, but this Oath of Spring really interests me, being able to stack a bunch of shocks on an enemy. I think Storm Rain would do that very well, and maybe even if I found a way to work some ignites in there, an additional Scorch would also be really cool. Maybe it ends up looking like that. I'm not sure where the last one goes. I just know I'm set on Storm Rain, shock stacking with the Warden. new Ascendancy class. This was my first thought that came when I was looking at it and saw it. I never did anything with tinctures in the past, so that there could be a lot of really fun stuff to play around with here. So if you would like to see me play Stormrain Warden, leave that in the comments below. And that is all 19 Ascendancy classes. And there we go. That is the list of potential builds I will league start in Settlers of Kalguur. And you can vote in the comments, like I mentioned, to weight my wheel as we have done for the past few leagues. And then once the queue gets close to me entering the game, I'll spin the wheel. Whatever it chooses, that's what I will play. So I leave it up to you guys to give weighting to this wheel. And then lastly, I will mention that I will be playing in a private league for Settlers of Kalguur with members of my community. If that's something you would like to participate in, the information for that will be in the Discord as we get that set up. As the Necropolis League ends tomorrow, we'll start getting that set up and rolling. It was definitely a lot of fun last league, being able to trade with people, not playing strictly SSF, but more of an SSF mindset because we have a smaller group of people to trade with, and I am very much looking forward to that again. Definitely, to me, feels like the most fun way to play PoE, though we probably won't be able to make quite as much use out of the new currency exchange market thing that's going to exist. I can't wait. And I'm excited to see what your guys' thoughts are on my list of strange builds that probably no one else is playing for the most part, and what you would like to see me play. But that is going to do it for this video. I would like to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, definitely hit the like button as it really helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss more videos from me. If you'd like to help support my channel, please consider using the super thanks, the heart icon just below the video, or by joining to become a member, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.